you talk about this five years ago when
Mm,
you were at the verge of a breakdown,
yeah, yeah.
and where you came now.
Verge of breakdown, verge of bankruptcy.
But yeah,
Of course,
verge of
the
everything
financial
actually.
problems, they're always there somehow.
Yeah, Carol, what a story.
Yeah.
I am so immensely proud of you. My God, you've
It's,
come so far,
yeah.
and especially telling that story today after
Yeah.
having this interview with Björn Freitag. It seems,
It's
you know,
just, yeah.
it's
And
so
now
amazing.
it's just amazing. And now it's me.
And now
And,
it's you.
yeah.
Look back this.
And
Don't
I've
care.
done that a lot in my head. In my head, you don't want to live there sometimes. I also
know.
don't want to live in my head sometimes.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
just think, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to do this anymore.
Mhm,
It's just too much.
mhm,
And I had my lowest point, I think, in 2018, because I was sleeping maximum 3 hours at most. You know me, I visualize things, and this place, I visualized it. So when the decision came to open the restaurant, the steps of how I'll tell you, I already knew what was supposed to go where. Like, I had it all planned in my head. And like you say, this not shouting, really, I wanted people to feel like when they're here, they're sitting in their living room. So in your living room, you don't hang heads of elephants and I don't know what. You don't do that.
Yeah.
That is supposed to be for tourists, you know. This is the shouting of Africa, Africa, Africa. We are not doing that. I know. We are not doing that. And for me, it was important that when a Kenyan comes in here, that they have this feeling of home. When a German or any other person comes in here, that they have this feeling of the holiday I did, you know, or that place that I long for, that place that I would want to go to. That is the feeling I want people to have. And that is exactly what I had in mind when I was creating this. So that was the next big step. So it was like, of course, approaching the banks for money.
Yeah.
Because, you know, capital for this place. I didn't have some pocket change that I could use for everything. So there has to be a lot of confidence, a lot of somebody looking at you must believe, really believe she can pull this off.
Yeah. But you do have that as a person. You know, I don't know how many things you've sold to me, sitting there and thinking, it makes sense, so because you already have this character of really being able to sell things. I think this is why you can also do business so well.
And 2018, I was like done, and it was almost a burnout.
Hi everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of your favorite conversation, Far From Home Diaspora Conversations. My name is Wamboy, and I am greatly honored and glad to have you with us here. And with me here, as usual,
yeah, Carol Millenbrock, the other host.
Carol Millenbrock, you look amazing today.
Oh, thank you, my dear.
Why are you looking so amazing? What have you been up to?
Are you telling me I don't look amazing all the time?
You look more amazing than normal.
I know, Amboy. It's blessings and blessings and blessings after the other. So thank you.
Double.
Yeah, double. I was shooting a television show today, and you know, the thing I've been praying for years, and I just feel blessed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you look
with my
blessed.
favorite star chef. I must say that.
Björn Freitag.
Yes.
Nice. Oh my God, I'm sitting to someone who was doing a TV shooting. I mean, so this also rubs on me. I have cool friends. Yeah, this is amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to this conversation because it's an interesting one. It's going to be all about you today. But before we begin, I want to appreciate our sponsors who have continued to support us all this time. TDEX Media. We want to thank you for your support, for your trust, for making us for making us come this far and for trusting us with your name. And you're going to hear more about TEDx Media in the course of this conversation. And now I want us to
Yes.
dive into our conversation.
I'm looking forward to this.
Carol, what are we going to tell them today?
So we are talking about entrepreneurship because I am an entrepreneur, and that is something I've been asked about a lot. All the steps that led me to where I am now, and I've come from far, far. Yeah, and I'm always glad to give any information and to be of help in any way, and also tell my story. The journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But before we start into the entrepreneurship, guys, let me tell you about this restaurant. So we are sitting, of course, in La Kula, which maybe you know as House Millenbrook, and it's a Kenyan restaurant. And you've probably seen this on TV, or you've been here for diverse actions that happen here. But the first time I came here, when I got in, I had not been prepared for what I saw. It's a very beautiful place, actually. It has orange and warm colors and African stuff, but none of it too much. None of it is exaggerated. It's really classy. Reminds me of home, but it's not. It's not exaggerated. It just looks warm and calm. And when I come here, mostly, you know that I come here and stay, and sometimes I've even decided to sleep over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a place I come and feel calm. I overeat because the food is always really
that's
good.
what you do. That's what you do. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful place without it being exaggerated, or the word I'm thinking, it's German, grell. It's not I don't know.
It doesn't shout.
It doesn't shout.
Yeah.
It has a
yeah.
very calm, classy atmosphere. Never too loud, but also never too quiet. And I just wondered, why did you come up with this place? Was it always your dream to come up with this place? And yeah, let's start with that. Was
Yeah.
it always your dream?
It was actually a dream of mine. Like, you know me, I visualize things, and this place, I visualized it. So when the decision came to open the restaurant, the steps of how I'll tell you, I already knew what was supposed to go where. Like, I had it all planned in my head. And like you say, this not shouting, really, I wanted people to feel like when they're here, they're sitting in their living room. So in your living room, you don't hang heads of elephants and I don't know what. You don't do that. That is supposed to be for tourists, This is the shouting of Africa, Africa, Africa. We are not doing that. I know. We are not doing that. So it's supposed to be a very comfortable place where when you come in, you just feel like, oh, I'm home.
Yeah.
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 And that is what I hear a lot when many guests come here. They just have this feeling, this warmth, and because of the food also that they're home. And for me, it was important that when a Kenyan comes in here, that they have this feeling of home. When a German or any other person comes in here, that they have this feeling of the holiday I did, or that place that I long for, that place that I would want to go to. That is the feeling I want people to have. And that is exactly what I had in mind when I was creating this.
And you certainly did do that because, sometimes, for example, my colleagues, when they ask me, is there a Kenyan restaurant? The first thing I think about is this place. And of course, I live far away. So it's not like there are no other restaurants where I come from. I just never think of sending my colleagues or my friends to any of these places.
Although they would be near where
Although they would be near where I am. And the food is good. I know there are many places I've gone and liked the food, but I knew instinctively I trust myself to come here, but I don't trust myself to bring other people to this place. Because if I'm being honest, it doesn't look nice. Sometimes I've gone to places where I prefer to take the food with me because I don't feel
Comfortable sitting
comfortable
there.
sitting there.
Mm,
And this is a place where I've always thought, I've even given my colleagues good shiner to come over here.
Vouchers.
Vouchers. Vouchers. Sorry, guys. To come over here because
yeah.
I just don't trust it with myself. I trust it also with other people. And this is something that sometimes we lack. A place where we can send other people to as a diasporan community.
Oh, that's so nice of you, Ambo.
Yeah.
But of course, you are a bit biased because you're my friend.
I know. I know, but I am a person, if I didn't have anything good to say about it, I just wouldn't say anything.
Okay.
We have so many other things to talk about.
Yeah,
we don't have to talk about the restaurant. So if I don't like it,
you wouldn't say
just wouldn't
anything.
mention it.
Yeah.
So you have done a good job.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
know you've done. I also know that you've done a good job. So
I'm proud of it.
Yes.
I must say that I'm
Yes.
proud of how it is, of how it looks, of how people take it and receive it. Because you can create whatever you want to create, but if people don't receive it, then you have a problem.
Yes.
And it has been received well,
Yeah.
and all through these years.
Yeah. I've had people talking about it even in Holland. I've had people talking about it in different places when I go for concerts in Mainz. I've had people talking about this place in Mainz. So you are, and I had people were talking about it in Kenya actually. So it is a well-known place, but it deserves it. So what were the first things that you needed to do for you to create this place?
I think there were many steps that led to this, even without even before I started, because you have to come from somewhere. And I did my apprenticeship here in Germany to be a chef. I think I told the story about not continuing with law studies, and I did my apprenticeship, and that is because I love cooking. So after I finished my apprenticeship, I was employed as if somebody doesn't know the story, I started with cleaning dishes first. I think I haven't told that
Not
story.
in the extent. I think you've told me the story.
Yeah, that's
I
why
don't
I
think
feel
we've
like
had this
like
story.
we've not had this story.
No, not
so
really.
what happened is when I came to Germany, I came to my boyfriend, and then we got married, and then I started cleaning dishes in a restaurant because that is the only job I could do. I could not speak German, and there weren't so many things available for me to do. And I was hoping to continue with my law studies here. So in the meantime, because I'm not the kind of person who stays home, I looked for a job. So I started working in a restaurant. And because of my love for cooking, which goes back a long time, I would sneak into the kitchen to see what they were doing. And then after some time, I asked the boss, my boss, if I could be coming when I am not working to just see what they're doing, how they were cooking. And I asked him to not pay me for that. It was just me coming to gain some skills.
Wow.
And that is something I can always tell people. Don't always look that you're earning money. If you can earn skills, that is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Knowledge and skills.
Yeah.
So I was coming when I was not, when I was not working, I would come, go into the kitchen and just watch. And before long, I was helping. I started working with them. So after some time, I got paid anyway because I was not only standing there and watching. So after some time, and also taking my papers to be approved for the law studies and all that, it took a long time. And when I got the feedback that my studies in Kenya were not recognized, that I had to do the whole thing again, and that would have meant 7 years.
I know.
I was like, and I was already 26. I was like, 7 years? That's a long time.
I know.
So, I mean, the 7 years went by anyway.
Over now, yeah.
But in that moment, you're thinking, I cannot do 7 years. And I'm thankful for that. Because then, and then my daughter was already born, and I was
You already had
thinking,
a child by now.
by then, I was all this time I was working in the restaurant. I was in the kitchen and also doing service, waitress. So I decided to do the apprenticeship after that. And I did that, which was also reduced for 2 years. I did it for 2 years instead of 3 because of my law studies. So there it helped.
So if you've already studied something, then you can take a shorter period
You can apply for them to recognize that.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of, Wirtschaftslehre, business in my law studies. So they took that as enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I did that. So those are the things that, when you want to do business in a certain area, some knowledge in that field wouldn't hurt. So that's why I started with talking about the apprenticeship, and then I worked for a long time as employed as a chef. So I finished my apprenticeship in 2010, and we opened this place in 2016. So those were 6 years, almost 6 years of working with 2 kids, of course.
Experience.
Yeah.
And where were you doing that? Were you doing that at the same place where you were doing your apprenticeship?
Yeah,
or
the same place. Yeah.
Okay.
Those were the parents from Mwangi, the father of my kids.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I did all that. And I mean, with 2 kids and here in Germany where you don't have much help,
yeah,
it's not the easiest thing to do.
I can imagine, especially because the food and restaurant work is work that you need to do during the weekends.
Yeah, and in the evening.
Yeah. That must have been tough.
It was. It was very tough because, of course, when I got kids, I also had this idea of how I want to bring up my kids. I want to be there in the evening. I want to read them books. I want to, all that. And then you have a job where you are almost every evening you're away working. So it's like, there were very many tearful evenings, when I was at work and I was just crying because I had to give my kids to somebody else. They had loving people taking care of them, really. I have a family here, a family that was there, and they would come all the time and be with the kids. And we also, of course, I don't have my family here from Kenya, but I have a mother. Doris. Doris is still like a mother to me, and she was there for my kids all the time. I knew it's somebody I could call anytime, and she would be there.
Wow. Big up, Doris. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Wow. But now, when you did your apprenticeship, you were learning to become a chef, right?
Yes.
You were not learning how to be an entrepreneur.
No.
No. So how do you what are the things you needed to do to actually open up your own place?
Yeah. I must also say, not everybody can be an entrepreneur.
No, this is why I'm asking, because I know I would never want to take so much responsibility.
Yeah. But I also know that sometimes some of these things you also get them from, it's what you see. My mother was never employed. So it's like she always had businesses she was doing all along. So I saw her doing businesses. And I think sometimes that comes, I wouldn't say naturally, but it's a thing you've been seeing. So being employed, and maybe I had the lack of being employed in a family business where I could also try out a lot of things and I was not so restricted. But I am not the kind of person who is restricted in this is what you have to cook,
boxes.
this is what we cook, and this is I can't deal with that.
I know.
But somehow
I know.
But somehow it was always clear for me that at some point I would have something of my own. I really wanted that.
Mm.
So when that place was closed, or when it was clear that they were not going on with the restaurant, the next step for me was obviously opening a place of my own, or of our own. That time was with Mwangi. Yes, you still get the story of Mwangi. I mentioned Mwangi a lot here.
Yeah, yeah. I will make sure that we do get the story of Mwangi at some point. So
Yeah,
don't
that
worry.
time will come. Yeah. So that was the next big step. So it was like, of course, approaching the banks
Yeah.
for money,
Yeah.
because capital for this place. I didn't have some pocket change that I could use for everything. So I had to go to the banks, and it's difficult for restaurants to get loans, because there are so many restaurants. And I must also be honest and say many of them, when they open, they don't last more than 2 years. So the banks are very careful with giving money for restaurants. But the thing is, my what is it called? What I wanted to do was so special. This unique selling point.
Yeah.
It was so special that they said, it's a restaurant, yes, but we don't have it.
We don't have anything like this.
Yeah, we don't have anything like this. And I think I also can convince people to,
Yeah.
I can sell my ideas.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so I sold this idea.
You can, definitely.
I sold this idea, and fortunately they bought it. And then the journey started. So I went to Kenya. I bought all these things you see here, all these figures, all these, so many things. I went 2015, 1 year before we opened, almost 1 year. I went to Kenya and I did shop. Even the materials, like I told you, I had everything in my head, everything the way I wanted to have it. I had it in my head. So when I went to Kenya, I had 2 weeks, but I already knew. I already knew I'm going here, I'm going to Mombasa. I'm ordering this Lamu furniture. I'm going here. I already had all that in my head.
Wait, you bought all these things in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
And in those 2 weeks, for 3 days, I was sick, just lying flat, sick.
Wow.
So I didn't do anything. But because I had already planned everything, and that is so important, to first of all know what you want. Because if I had gone to search for things, it would have taken much, much longer.
And it would have been much, much more expensive, because there are so many nice, beautiful things.
Yeah.
Because these things always look as if an architect, is that German or English? Interior designer?
Interior designer,
Yeah, as if somebody came here, took the measurements, even the colors. I mean, even the things you've bought like 15 years later, still suit to this picture.
I've had that a lot. People come here and ask me, who was your designer, interior designer? I say, nobody.
Really, this is
me,
not me trying to do a pat on your back. This is really, it's just well done, So, and in 2 weeks, how did you transport all these things back?
So when I arrived, I immediately looked for a company that was, I went to DHL. They were very expensive. But at the end, I thought it would have been better to take them, because I had problems with the things to be transported there. So the first thing I did when I went to Kenya was look for a company that would transport the goods for me. So what I did is, I was buying the things and taking them direct to the company. So I didn't have to store them anywhere. So I would go to the market, buy whatever I'm buying, like these figures. They are really huge.
Heavy.
They are heavy. They are, you cannot just put them in the house. So I was buying, taking it there.
They look like real people.
They look, and they scare me sometimes.
I know. They are scary.
Yeah. So I would buy and take them there, buy and take everything there. And at the end, they just had to weigh everything. I paid them even later. And then the things came, followed me later.
Wow. This all Of course, you can have a good idea and you can have things working for you, but it all sounds like money, money, money,
It was a lot
money.
of money. Yeah. Yeah.
Now looking at our, especially because our topic is also diaspora, did you, because I've had people saying, yeah, when you come from Africa, you don't necessarily get credits from the bank. Would you say there was some form of bias that you experienced with looking for the money, or was this not something that you experienced? Or in other words, in a nutshell, what's really helped you to come up with these huge amounts of capital, I would say?
Of course, I must say that being married to a German helped. Um, but also the fact that I had already started doing my African dishes in their restaurant.
Okay.
So, and it was doing
It was
really
doing,
well.
it was already doing
really
good.
well.
Okay.
So there was something that they could, there was something tangible.
Yeah.
I was not just selling an idea.
Yeah.
They could not put their hands on. I think they would not have done it if they had not already. And because we live in a very small village, you know
Yes.
that. So everybody knows everybody else.
Yeah.
And they already knew, because that time I was doing my African buffets I started with Mondays once a month. Then the restaurant was always full. Then I started
Wow.
doing it every 2 weeks on Fridays. And it was always full. So I already had that reputation that people love my food and they're coming and coming again. And that in a small village, and
Yeah.
that was an advantage. So I don't think I would have gotten the credit if they didn't have something tangible in
Something
their
to
hands.
say,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Kizuri cha user,
Yes.
meaning
Yes. Yeah.
something
Make
that
a
is
name for
good sells
yourself.
itself. Yeah.
And even if you're starting small, just do it as good as you can. Do it because there's nothing better than mouth,
Word of mouth. Yeah.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
That is the best advert you
can never
get.
get. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's actually really
Because
true.
when you tell me something, hey, Kara, I was in this sauna, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
That's where I'll go to.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I see something on Instagram, I'll think, okay, oh, that looks nice, but I'll pass it.
Yeah.
But when you get that from somebody, it's the best.
It's true. Even if I see it has only 1 star, but you tell me it was good,
Yeah.
I will still trust you more than the
Yeah.
stars I see on
That's
internet.
true.
It's very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. Yeah. I won't tell anybody that it will be easy to get a credit. That I must be honest. But if you can sell your idea, if you can be organized. Of course, I went to what are they called? Tax advisors. I went to a tax advisor in the beginning. All these things cost money. And then he did a business plan for me, really well formulated business plan. They want to know what will you be earning in 5 years, because they're giving you this money. I got the money for about 10 years. So they want to know, what are you planning for the future? So I had to give in, and you don't have anything to show, like you have not started the business. So what you're doing is just, calculating what you think you'll earn during this time, for the bank to see that, okay, with that, we'll get our own money back.
Yeah, of course. They're also doing
and
their
you have
business.
to be realistic. You just can't try there. I'll be earning 100,000. Oh, yeah,
Anyone can
guys,
say that. Yeah.
No. It has to be believable. It has to be realistic. Yeah.
And of course, I think you also have to believe it yourself.
You have to. Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. You have to believe that you can do it, and that is the only way you can sell it to somebody else.
It's what I wanted
That's
to
the only
say.
way.
The selling.
Yeah.
You can only sell it if
you believe it. If you believe it. So there has to be a lot of confidence. A lot of somebody looking at you must believe.
Yeah.
Really believe she can pull this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do have that as a person. I don't know how many things you've sold to me, sitting there and thinking, it makes sense. So because you already have this character of really being able to sell things. I think this is why you can also do business so well. But I think in this aspect, it's so important to know the knowledge that you had before. I have sold this. I know it is selling, and I believe it myself that it's going to sell.
Yeah.
Before you go convince
Somebody else.
Somebody
Yeah.
else.
You know what my son told me the other day? I was telling him, you know, me, I have these visions and these dreams and this, and I was telling him, this place where we live now, I want to buy it in 5 years. And he looked at me and said, yeah. And then he said, I asked him, you just say yeah? He told me, Mom, even if you told me that in 10 years you'll build where the aeroplanes land, an airport. You'll build an airport. I'll believe you. I'll believe you.
Let's do a small detour. Guys, do you remember when this person told me that she got the legendary proposal? Do you remember that story? I believed her. I would never have believed this story of anybody else. Let me say, I'm not just a naive person. I would never, ever have believed. But I believed you because you were able to sell this idea. You were able to sell to me the idea that
This possible.
it could be possible.
It could be possible, yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
amazing, Carol.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that.
It's possible. And that's something I've always believed. Always. Like, I've always believed these things are possible.
Yeah.
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 And I say, in so many things, you know, we read the Bible and there's the God of Moses and the God of those are stories.
Yeah.
So for me, I say the God of Oprah Winfrey, the God of Trevor Noah, the God of people, tangible stories.
people. I love that.
So that's the God I pray to.
Yeah.
I pray to this God that I see doing things for these people.
Yeah.
And even if it's, you know, it doesn't matter. Somebody whose story I've had and I've seen Steve Harvey, you know, this Diary of a CEO guy, when he said he was collecting food and now he's a millionaire.
Amazing.
This is the same God.
Yeah.
The same God I pray to.
Yeah.
So why should that not be possible for me?
Yeah.
So I've always believed that
Yeah.
it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. And that is always my starting point. It's possible. So I just have to put in the work. I pray and let God do the rest.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Of course.
Yes.
Of course, it is possible.
Yeah.
And we have so many limitations because of the stories we tell ourselves.
Yes.
And I know
Yes.
that you've really helped me also a lot as a person to look at the stories that I've told myself about things that are possible and not possible. You know, sometimes I ask myself, what will Carol say? Carol will say this is possible. So I'm getting it because it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. It's really amazing. Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's a journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you scared though?
Honestly, no.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Amazing.
I was never scared. That's, you know, sometimes we could also call it naive.
Yeah.
I go into things
yeah.
like I don't know if you read on Facebook. There's a time I posted something. I said, I don't wait to see the net before I fall. I'm standing somewhere up. I just don't wait. You know, there are people who wait for some kind of a surety, a land soft. I don't wait to see that. I just land, and on the landing, I acquire
Wings.
and I fly.
That is the definition of faith. You know, someone was telling me about the difference between believing and having faith. And they were telling me, and I loved this story, I'll never forget it. They were telling me, believing is if you see someone who is riding a one cycle on a rope, and you believe this person can do it because you've seen them doing it.
You've seen it, yeah.
So you believe they can do it. And faith is if they ask you now to come on top and do it with them. And will you do it? And that is faith.
That is faith.
And
yeah.
I think that
That's
is
true.
faith.
Yeah.
Not waiting to see the net, but
No.
dropping anyway.
Just sometimes you get hurt, of course.
Of course.
And I've landed hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But that is part of the journey. That's part of the journey. You have, and I've had sleepless nights, and I've had, you know, I was already in it. It's not like I thought about it before. what will happen if at some point this business doesn't do well? Where will I get all the money? The running costs that are huge for this house. So these are the things I came to experience later. They gave me sleepless nights. They still do, but I'm already in it. And you learn as you go on. You get people who help you along the way, and that is how the journey goes. Yeah, you have to take risks.
And sometimes you get to be on TV with Björn Freitag.
And sometimes you get a call that asks you if you want to be on German television. And then
this is huge, Caro. I don't know if sometimes you know how huge it is.
I pinch myself a lot.
It is a huge thing. I've had people saying location. And let me just tell my people, we are in a very small town in Germany. It's very small. When I say small, it is actually very small. It means that the only thing I've seen here is a supermarket.
Boy,
there is no post office, Carol. There's no post office.
There is a post office?
There is
a small one.
Post office. Is there a church?
There are 2 churches.
There are 2 churches. What I'm saying, guys.
It's a small village.
It's a village.
Yeah.
And the first time I came here, I used to live in Cologne. So of course for me it was like, wow, this is really small. And
it is.
I travel for long. I travel for 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours to get here. And still I come, And if I was thinking about opening an African restaurant, I would definitely never think of this place. I would think of a big town. How is it that you actually decided to stay here in this place? Were you ever scared of this place as a place that you will not get enough guests? And also, what makes people like me travel 4 hours? And not just me, because of course we are friends. I've had you telling me about people who came from Frankfurt.
Yes.
I've had people coming from really far, and people come all the way to be here. So these are actually 2 questions. Were you scared of this place as a place? And why? What keeps us coming back for hours?
Here's a quick one to tell you about our sponsors, TDX Media. I've been working with TDX Media for about 5 years now, and this has saved my life, literally saved my life. TDX Media has a way of helping you to optimize your office work. So I am a very chaotic person. My office was looking like you can imagine it. And then TDX Media came, and they really helped me to optimize the processes, especially the processes of how I work, what should happen when, they came and advised me. They came and sorted out most of my files and all that, because I am not that. And then my website, it's beautiful because it is being maintained, it is being serviced by TDX Media. And then the CEO of the company, Christian Tiedemann, who does all that, comes to you, advises you, he talks to you, he listens to your needs, and then crafts everything according to how you need it, but adding his professionalism in everything that he does, such that at the end of it all, and he will not use anything he doesn't think is okay for the person visiting your website. So if your photos are not good enough, then he'll not put them in. And that is the level of professionalism that I need when I'm working with someone, so that they just don't do everything I tell them to do. They tell me, okay, it's your website, but it has my name on it. So he will not do anything that is not professional enough. And the other thing is event management. Guys, these guys are so organized. TDX Media is so organized. They have taken control and over. They organize our African festival, which happens every year. So I have nothing to do with it. The first year I organized it myself. I almost went crazy. And nowadays I just get calls, or when we're talking, it's a yes, no, and I have nothing to do with it. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love working with these people. I love the way they, present themselves in a way that is, I will talk about professionalism the whole time, because that is what they are. They are professionals. And you see that in everything they do. When they're doing consultations with you, they are very specific in everything that they're doing. You can only be satisfied when you're working with Chitix Media. And I'm so glad that have trusted us now to sponsor our podcast. And I've been working with them all this time, satisfied with their work. I'll continue working with them. So please visit their website, www.tidix.de. That's www.tidexde. Visit them because you'll be doing yourself a favor. Thank you so much. Yeah.
How do you do it? What are you doing to us?
The first question, of course, I had my thoughts about this being a village. And here in Germany, they say, was der Bauer nicht kennt, das frisst er nicht.
Das frisst er nicht, ja.
What the farmer doesn't know, he doesn't eat it.
Yes.
So, and that is why we, at the beginning, started with, some African food and some German food. Because, like I said, we were in another place, in another restaurant, as a family. So when we moved here and opened this, I was not trusting myself to do 100% African food because I was thinking, the people who were there, they were getting this African food once a month or twice a month. And all the other time they were coming for the German food. So I thought I have to provide them with this German food and also do the African. So I was
to offer them something that they already know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But then as time went on, I noticed that people were getting disappointed when they came here and they found a schnitzel. A schnitzel is escalope, German food.
It's called what?
Escalope.
You've never had that? No. I've also never eaten it, so.
Okay. Yeah. You've not missed anything. No, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. There are other better German foods, I think, personally. So when I noticed that some guests were getting disappointed because they came to this place, the way when people see all this, they expect African. And then they come in here and the menu is German, African. So there was a kind of confusion and, it's like you don't know what you want. Where are you? And then there was a time I talked to the boss of DEHOGA. It's an organization that deals with hotel industry and all that. The overboss. I managed to get him here somehow.
You talk to big people.
Somehow. I don't know how, but I had called that place and I was telling him what I do and all that. And then he came here and he told me, you have all this and why are you doing the German food? I can get the German food there and here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
But why are you not doing 100% African? And then I was telling him, I have to pay my bills and all that. And actually, looking into our books, it was evident that the African was doing better. So we went into the books and looked, and then we saw we are selling more African food than the German. And there the decision was easier to just do 100% German. Yeah. And we have guests now to come into the next question who come like often, so often, and they come from far and they come all the time and every time. And why they come, I must say, is for me, when I started this, or even as I go on, my intention is to make people happy with food. That is my sole intention. To give somebody a food experience.
Yeah.
And I think you've had that, or even from people who do things they love doing. You don't sell products, you sell emotions.
It's true.
You sell emotions.
Yeah.
So how you make somebody feel, they'll never forget that. What they eat, they might forget. They might forget. So when people come here, I want them to have a good time. I want them to feel happy. And I want them to taste food and taste that it has been made with love. So I create that atmosphere of happiness, of joy, of, put some music and dance and, just give people that feeling. And I think that's why they come back.
And talk to them. This phrase is thrown around so much. It was made with love.
Yeah.
But you know, when you explain it like that, I actually know what you're saying. You know, when sometimes even me and we know each other, but still you've never thrown food for me in a plate and just handed it to me. Never,
Made with love.
It really, it's there's a specific plate for specific things. And so I get that plate, I get the tissue for that. And, the way it's presented as if it didn't cost you any energy. Because, sometimes people give you food, like just a short story. There's a time I bought pizza. I generally don't like eating pizza, but on this day, I had to buy it because of diverse circumstances.
Yeah.
And then the man who was selling the pizza to me took it and threw it to me. I looked at it. I could still have eaten it, but it was burned on the corners. I looked at it again and I was like, oh, I already don't like pizza. This one is burnt. And I was paying a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
And I told him, no, I don't want this kind of pizza. I don't want to eat it. And he was like, why not? I told him, because it's burnt. I generally don't eat burnt food. And I was not being arrogant. I just didn't want to eat it. And he took it back. He cut me another piece, threw it. He was so angry. And he was like, okay, now you can have the other piece. And I looked at that piece and it was okay.
The energy.
It was not burnt. And I knew I would never eat it. The energy, I was already so agitated. And I told him, with this kind of energy, I will never eat it.
No.
And I told him, please give me back my money.
Yeah. That's
And
a
he gave me back my money.
bad energy.
Yeah. And so if this is possible, the opposite is also possible.
It's also possible.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's possible because, there's also something. I also do YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I have my recipes everywhere. And I was being asked, don't you think when you give them recipes, they'll not come back here? Or I do cooking classes where I teach them how to cook. But you find somebody coming to my cooking class, we cook there, I show them how, and then 2 weeks later, they're coming to my buffet.
Yeah.
Because they'll go make that food, and that food is delicious, and they're making it at home, but they'll not have the same feeling.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's how you make people feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really not. And how
that
often
is-
have I watched you cooking? And I've tried also, but it's never the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's really the feeling.
And that can only happen, Wambui, when you have the why to start with. Why am I doing this? Why? If you do it for the money, please go home and sleep. Don't. And I can talk about that. It's not.
Tell us the why.
It's not for the money. The money might come, and I'm saying might, but you have to have another reason for it. Christian is laughing. It's true. You have to have another reason for doing this.
Yeah.
And that's because it's fun for me. And I love it when people are happy when they're eating the food. When I'm doing my African buffet and people are coming in there and they're dancing to the music. And that fulfills me. Of course, I need to pay my bills. And I also don't sell myself cheap. I take my price for my food and for everything you have here.
Yeah.
But I like it when people are happy.
Yeah.
Start with the why. Why am I doing it? Why? Yeah.
So you need to do something that makes you happy, that gives you joy.
Yeah. You can do things to earn money, and you can open a restaurant to earn money, and you might earn that money. But then you also want to be fulfilled. You also want to be doing something, You wake up in the morning energized. It's not like that every day.
I know. I've
Sometimes I
seen
get
you
my
standing for hours
oh
and
yes.
hours, and I just wonder how are you doing it? How are you still smiling? How are
Yeah.
you still talking to guests? You know, sometimes I just look at you after standing for so many hours,
Mm,
and then you have to wake up the next day so early. I just wonder,
yeah.
where do you get your energy to actually do this? Because really, it's not easy.
It's not.
Mm.
It's not an easy job, and
Mm.
it's not anything I can advise anybody to do who is. You have to be strong for this job.
Yeah. Mm.
My days are sometimes 17, 18 hours long.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's almost a whole 24-hour day. I
Yeah.
mean, minus
Yeah.
5 hours.
Sometimes they are that long.
Oh my God.
And you still smile and you still talk to your guests. Or you go aching at home,
Mm.
but you have to wake up the next day. And I also look for things that also bring me more joy, like this one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm doing this now because I started with the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rush into only the happiness and the joy. There'll have to be some pain along the way, but then because I visualize a lot, like these were things that I was visualizing. At some point, I'll have my own cooking show. At some point, you know, one boy, this year, beginning of this year, you know, my vision board, I had written my own TV show. So look what we are doing now.
Amen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So those are the kind of things. Just having these visions and knowing what you want to achieve in future.
Yeah.
Sometimes it keeps you going.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
keeps you
really
going.
amazing.
Yeah.
So what would you say, what have been like the most typical setbacks that you've had, especially one on entrepreneurship
Mm,
in general, and
mm,
second, these very specific kind of entrepreneurship where you need guests and
yeah,
restaurant and food?
yeah.
Mm.
Of course, the family factor,
The
the
time.
time,
Mm.
because it's a job that is not very friendly for family life.
Mm.
So that one is something that has made me in many occasions think I am not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this. This is not what I signed for.
Mm.
You know, boy, there are times I used to upstairs. I used to say like, today we don't have so many guests, so I'll go upstairs, be with the kids. There are people in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden, 10 or 20 guests come in, and I've just opened a book to read for them,
Oh my God.
and then I'm called to go to the kitchen. And when I'm called, it's not less than 3 hours.
Oh no.
So there came a point where when they had going up, you hear somebody coming up the stairs. When they had the stairs, I could see tears in their eyes.
Oh my God. That is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh
And of
dear
course, I would
God.
also start crying
Oh my God.
because I knew every time they would say, that's dad now coming to call you that you have to go downstairs.
Oh God.
And I would I would close the book.
Mm.
I would say, I'm coming. And sometimes they had not even eaten. We just wanted to read and then eat together. And then I would be away for all these hours and I would find them asleep on the sofa. In the kitchen cooking for other people, but my kids have fallen asleep hungry.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That really touches my heart.
That is painful.
Yeah.
That is painful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there came a time where I was just, it was just tears, especially when they were little. Nowadays, they don't need me much. In fact, they're happy when I'm not there so that they can take their phones and,
And
play games and all that. But that time,
oh my God. I
and,
can
you
just
know, I
imagine
had-
tiny eyes just
Yeah,
looking at you.
yeah, just
Mama, don't go.
don't go. Yeah.
Oh.
Sometimes they would hold me. Please don't. Please let
Oh
them walk
my God.
alone. Let them walk alone. We know when you go, you'll not come back.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is
That is
painful.
painful.
Mm.
That is painful.
Mhm.
And I used to cry. I used to cry.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And then the thing is, when we opened, when you open in the beginning, you're doing almost everything alone. So that means I was doing the kitchen, I was doing the shopping, I was doing my office work.
Oh my God.
I did not have anybody to do bookkeeping for me.
Oh
So
dear.
I would wake up in the morning, prepare my kids for school, go shopping, come to the kitchen, work the whole day. And then at night around 11 p.m., I'd be finished with kitchen work. I would go into the office and continue working in the office.
Oh dear God.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that was hard.
That is so much work.
Yeah. And you know how the bureaucracy in Germany.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. You have to have every
just-
single piece of
Yeah.
paper for everything.
Yeah. And you're tired
I know.
and your brain is, and you're doing personnel management, you're doing everything. I had to decorate here. You're doing everything. And you know these seasons, the German seasons, so you have to look, you have, when it's Christmas, you have Christmas decoration. Christmas
way,
is
yes.
about, in January, you have to do the next decoration. Then it's summer, you have to take the spring things away. Then you have that. It's just work that never ends.
Jesus.
Yeah,
It's true. You really
yeah.
have to love it. Otherwise,
You
you will
can't-
just throw it out of the window and
yeah.
say, I
And
don't
I've
care.
done that a lot in my head. In my head, you don't want to live there sometimes. I also
know.
don't want to live in my head sometimes.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
just think, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to do this anymore. It's just too much. And I had my lowest point, I think, in 2018, because I was sleeping maximum 3 hours at most.
Lord
every
Almighty.
day. Every day. I was like a zombie. I was just, I was just functioning from A to B without even thinking, I was just done. And the thing is, and thanks God for that, many businesses, when you start, there's always a slow start, slow. And that is maybe even why many businesses go bankrupt after 2 years, because the first years are really, really hard and you have credits to pay, loans to pay, and all that. Ours boomed in the beginning like nobody's business. This place was full, one boy. This place was full. And because of how ambitious I am, I was like, we'll do breakfast, then do lunch, then do coffee and cake in the afternoon, then do dinner. And if you have almost 100 people in the morning, you have 50 for lunch, you have about 30 for coffee and cake, and then you have another 100 in the evening. You don't even have time to prepare for anything. You're just in the kitchen doing. Sometimes, and this is a bit, I had my periods and I did not have time to go and change anything. I just stood there the whole day. I could not go to the toilet. I could not do anything because the next group is coming and I have to finish this now. The next 100 people are coming. I have to finish what I'm doing. Otherwise they won't get food.
That's total madness.
Yeah, 2016.
That
And that went on for a whole year.
How did you survive for more than 3 days like that?
Yeah.
I think I
did
would have
that.
gone totally crazy.
I was just numb.
Oh my God.
I was just numb. And that kills a lot. It also kills a marriage.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, of
it
course.
does. It
How are
kills
you going to have a marriage
You
at all?
cannot. You cannot.
Jesus, Lord Almighty.
Yeah. It's just too much for one person.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what happened? I started being afraid of guests. Like the phone would ring, and my whole body would like cringe,
So you became like your kids who were hearing the footsteps. Now
Exactly.
you started freaking out.
Exactly. I started freaking out.
Of course.
The thought of the restaurant will be full again. It's summer. The beer garden will be full. It's also the time I told you the story about me putting my hand in boiling oil.
Oh, don't say that.
190 degrees oil.
Oh my God.
and our beer garden was full, like full,
Oh my
and
God.
it was about 12:30 in the afternoon. I could not just leave, tell the guests now, go. I have hurt myself. No, I continued working until
What?
3 in the. One boy, what do you do?
Stop.
You can't.
You
Or that
can.
is what I was telling myself. You can't.
Of course you can.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to stop.
Yeah, I didn't. So I was with
Jesus,
this
Lord
hand,
Almighty.
just putting it in cold water.
Oh my
working,
God.
working. And then,
I
you
hope
know,
you don't do that anymore. Jesus, that sounds so crazy.
it is crazy. It is crazy. And these are things, you know, I've had what people do, because I read a lot of stories. That's why I love biographies. When you hear what people do to get to where they are,
Yeah, it's true.
don't just look at me now, see me on Facebook with 100,000 followers and think,
Yes.
oh, I want to be,
I want to be like her.
her.
Are you sure?
My journey,
Are you sure?
my
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
where it started, you don't know it. You don't know it.
Jesus
And that is
Christ.
why I am very, you know me, I'm very real in
yeah.
everything. I don't want to put this picture of me always, you know, here for the podcast, we dress nicely, we put on makeup, but I'll post a photo of myself in the kitchen at midnight, just looking like I looked like, you know, because this is the real life. I don't want this, you know, Instagram life where you just show the sunny side.
The good moments.
Yeah,
The
the
good
good moments.
captions, actually. Yeah.
I don't like doing that, because that is giving the wrong picture.
It's true.
And still, even those photos will not tell you the story that was. And like I was telling you, I started even praying not to have so many guests.
Crazy, you know?
And 2018, I was like done, and it was almost a burnout, because I remember my kids had gone on holiday with their grandparents for 3 days. And for those 3 days, they had gone on a Sunday, and I was to close on the Sunday, and then come back to work on Wednesday. So that time I had already introduced two off days. So I closed, I took the car, and I just drove.
You had to go. You just had to leave.
I took my suitcase, put a few things in. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know. I just wanted to be away from this place. This is a place I was associating with just, I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe.
Of
I
course.
cannot.
How I don't even know how you managed to do it for that long.
Yeah. And I was having problems with my nerves. I told you that story where I could not even go up the stairs. I went to all the doctors. They were checking, and they, you know, it was just bad. So I just drove and drove and drove. And at some point I just, you know, stopped. I remember it was a maize field. And then I just sat in the car for 1 hour. And then now what? I'm here. So I took my phone. I looked for the next hotel. I checked myself into a hotel. And I checked in. I remember it was around 4 in the afternoon. I went to bed. One boy, I slept until the following day at 12 midday. Slept. Didn't wake up for 1 minute, just slept.
Of course, you'd been sleeping for 3 You know, you can actually get crazy.
Yeah.
I'm actually really amazed and impressed. And I think God really, do you know this picture of where someone asked God, where were you? Because this poem, Footsteps on the Sand, I'm sure you know it.
You sent me that.
I think I sent you that.
Yeah.
You know, and this poem is about someone has been praying to God, and there are two sets of footsteps on the sand. And at one point, when things get really tough, there's only one set of footsteps. And this person tells God, and you see, when it was so hard, you are not there. You left me. And God says, no, this is when I was carrying you. And
These
for
are
me,
my footsteps.
these are my footsteps because you are on my back. And And for
Yeah.
me, when you tell me this story of
It was God carrying me.
this must have been God.
Yeah, yeah, it
because
was. It was.
otherwise
It was not, actually, it wasn't possible to go on.
No.
It's
not humanly
possible.
doable for
No.
such a long time.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I was praying. I don't want so many guests.
Yeah.
And then at some point,
They
be
didn't
very
come.
careful. Be very careful what you pray for, because you might get it.
It's true.
You get exactly that, and then they didn't come.
Okay.
And then now, I had other problems.
Money.
Now it's a money problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was on the verge of bankruptcy.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
on the verge of bankruptcy. Really. Those were the nights where I didn't know how I was to pay my bills.
Mm.
And that is the thing. When God decides to bless you, he blesses you. When he decides to teach you a lesson, he
God
does.
teaches you a lesson,
And I was
yeah.
cooking the same food. I was doing the same thing. I was doing everything the same. It was the same restaurant. It was the same. The one that had 100 guests, all of a sudden there was nobody, or 2 or 3. Just
it's amazing, isn't
it's
it?
just amazing.
Yeah.
But I prayed for that.
Yeah.
I told him, God, I don't want. I cannot go on like this. I don't want. And then the lesson was taught, and then I went back and said, God,
I know.
please, I know.
I have learned.
Yeah, I have learned this lesson, and I will not ask for that again. But then at that point, I had already. That is where, when you hear me talking about TEDx Media and how they literally saved my life.
This would have been my next
This-
question. Like,
This was that point.
yeah, who or
Yes.
what has helped you? Because
Yeah.
I know you as a person who always does things alone.
Yeah,
You are a very independent person,
very.
really with
very.
everything.
Mm.
So
And I don't trust people easily.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know that about you.
You have to really show me that you can do things the way I want them done for me to trust you. And it takes time.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then TEDx Media came. And of course, in the beginning, just, we started working together. And within a very short time, I had full trust, because the way Christian Tiedemann, the owner of TEDx Media, the way he works.
Big up, Christian Tiedemann.
Yes. The way he works is just amazing.
Wow.
And I was able to trust him immediately, like immediately. And I went out of that office, and nowadays I stand on the other side because he does it. He does
Wow.
it. And that is when I started breathing after that. And then I started asking God, please give me some guests now, please. Please. But I was really on the verge of bankruptcy. That was a tough time. That was a tough time.
Wow.
That was a tough time.
Carol, what a story.
Yeah.
I am so immensely proud of you. My God. You've come so far.
Yeah.
And especially telling that story today after
Yeah.
having this interview with Björn Freitag. It seems,
It's yeah.
it's
And
so
now
amazing.
It's just amazing. And now it's me.
And now
you know,
it's you.
yeah.
Look back you talk about this five years ago when you were at the verge of a breakdown.
Yeah.
And where you came now.
Verge of breakdown, verge of bankruptcy.
Of
course,
verge of
the
everything.
financial
actually.
problems, they're always there somehow.
Yeah.
I was listening to an interview. I think it was, I don't know if you know this guy, Phil, the director, is a Kenyan who is doing a podcast called Becoming the CEO.
I
He
haven't
has
heard
very
of him.
nice interviews. And he was interviewing a lady who has now 3 restaurants or something like that. That is why I got interested, because of the restaurant story.
Yeah,
And
of
she was
course.
saying sometimes as an entrepreneur, you borrow money from one bank to
pay the
put
other
off fire in the other one. When the other one is on your neck, you borrow from here. So that's how we function. That's how it's never easy. It's never easy. And you're always on the verge of, how am I going to pay my next bills? But then things are coming, like this one's now being on German television, not once, not twice. It's
Yeah,
some people are now
become
calling
stamp
me.
guest. I mean, really.
It's just surreal. It's
Yeah.
just surreal. Also, having people come here and wanting to take photos with me, and
Yes.
just when I remember, I
I
just
know. Sometimes they even ask me when I'm here.
Yeah.
Voice
Yeah.
Kalmurimbo.
It
And
just-
they're looking,
Mm,
with this amazed
yeah.
thing of where is this person? I want to see this person.
And then when they come
Mm.
and find me behind the buffet doing chapatis,
Mm.
there's so much joy in
Yeah.
that. And they see the joy in their eyes. And when they ask for a photo and they say, of course, let's and then let's dance together. And it's just amazing.
Wow.
I'm just so, I'm happy with my life.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for trusting us with your story and for being so honest and vulnerable and for taking us with you to where you've come. My God, I'm so happy that you're where you are now.
It's a journey. I don't want to scare anybody, by the way. I just wanted to be honest.
Yeah.
So if you want, entrepreneurship is a beautiful journey, but it has its pains.
Yeah.
So be ready for all of it. Be ready to take risks. Be ready to brace those times when you have to have some courage somewhere where you'll have to pull it
To get your strength
those
from.
this strength, not courage, strength. You pull that strength when these times come.
Yeah.
And they will come, definitely. Definitely. If anybody told me the first year that anything would go wrong, what are you talking about? These times will come. But then make sure you're steady enough to embrace those, or to catch those blows that are coming. And even if you fall, be somebody that can stand up after that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our time as usual.
Oh yeah, the time.
The
Why is
time.
the time always over? I don't understand that. It feels
also
like we've
don't
just
know.
started.
Yeah, it's because it's what we want to do. And
Yeah.
so
And we
someone
love
told me
this.
there's a difference between time and it's a German example about Uhrzeit and Zeit.
Ah, okay.
Like the time on the clock and
And
time
the time,
in itself.
the feeling of
the
time.
feeling of time.
Yeah.
And the feeling of time we have, of course, is totally different because we're doing something we love.
And I could talk to you forever, you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell someone maybe who wants to start? Of course, you've already said so many things about how you started and the difficulties you faced. But if someone is really right now concrete wants to start this, what is the one thing you will tell them to take along, or the one major advice that maybe you wish someone had told you before you started?
About entrepreneurship or about restaurant specifically?
Maybe entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What would I tell somebody? Skills. Make sure you get skills. Skills in the beginning. In the beginning, that is so important. Have something that no one can take away from you.
Amen.
No one can take away from you. So if you know how to cook, you know how to cook, and nobody can take that away from you. Yeah. So wherever you go, especially in the beginning, make sure you get as many skills as possible. Because now, and I'll tell you something, also my tax advisor, he has believed in me from the very beginning. That has been my cheerleader from the very beginning. He told me.
And can I say tax advisors are not generally always like that?
No, they're not. But he's my cheerleader. And he tells me, Carol, he calls me Frau Mühlenbrock, then Mrs. Mühlenbrock. You are the artist or the dancer. And at the moment, House Mühlenbrock is the stage you're dancing on. But if you move from here and go somewhere else, you'll get another stage, but you're still the dancer. And people don't come to watch the stage, they come to watch the dancer.
It's true.
So always be the dancer, because you can dance on any stage. Girl, yes, that becomes.
Oh my God. I love that.
Be the dancer.
Jesus, what a beautiful. I think we just ended there because this was, you know those drop the mic moments.
Yes.
Like pang.
That's a pang.
That's a pang.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
now,
I thought we are finished, guys. We are finished.
no,
No, we are not.
no, we're not.
I thought it was a pang.
It was a pang with style.
Okay.
So that is done. That's okay. That's
Let
done
me drink
with.
some water now. I know what's coming.
Just help yourself with some water.
Mm.
And now to the hot seat question.
Oh my God.
Don't worry, it's an easy one. You know me, I'm not like as creative as you. You told us a few times about where you see yourself. And I would like to ask now this concrete question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years. That's funny because I told my son that I would be buying that place I live in 5 years.
But when was that? When did you tell your son that?
2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
2
So
weeks
this
ago.
is quite recent.
This is recent.
Oh my God.
I want to open a wellness village, an African wellness village in Germany. And in 5 years, I'll be taking the first steps towards that.
Wow.
Yeah. I still don't know how. I don't have the money. Guys, don't think that here I have some. I still don't know how. I still don't know. But I believe, I pray to the God of Tyler Perry, the God of Oprah Winfrey, the God of Trevor Noah, the God of all these people who have done big things, who have managed to come from nothing. Because I'm still that ghetto girl. I was born in Nanyuki, in Majengo, so I'm still that girl. But I have my dreams so... some things I have on my vision board are so big that sometimes I have to scratch myself when writing. Sometimes I have to close my eyes when writing that because I almost feel like this cannot be, but I still do. I have a very big vision board. And on that vision board, there's African Wellness Village.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
I will
that's where
remind
you'll
you.
come to detox. You'll come to eat,
Good,
this plant-based,
plant-based
goodness.
Yes.
I live, where I live, there's a
Yes.
forest. So
Yeah.
we are doing this meditation. I took my son, and he can tell you that, and he told me, Mama, now you've showed me that, I can never look at this place any other way anymore.
Wow.
We have that water place.
You sold the idea.
Yeah, I sold him the idea. We have this water place, and then I told him this is where we'll be coming to meditate. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful place.
I know.
We've rented it at the moment, but I showed him all the places, like, the vision, all the places. This will be where I'll put in some reading places. This is where we'll be doing campfires in the evenings with the people. This is where I'll have a big hall where we can come, maybe eat something together, cook together. I have it in my head. I have it planned. And in 5 years, boy, the first steps into doing that.
I believe you.
Yeah.
This will be in August in 2028.
I'm going to write that down today.
Yes.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah. And then let's talk in 5 years, because
Let's
in 5
talk.
years we'll still be having this podcast.
Of course.
Yes.
It will be, of course, in another
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But we will still be having it.
Maybe even in that place we are talking about now.
Yes.
Yes. There'll be a studio,
Yes.
a
Oh my God.
state-of-the-art studio where we'll be doing our podcast.
I'm loving
And,
this.
and I'm saying this, I believe it, guys. I believe it.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. I believe
Yeah.
it.
I'm speaking like it will happen, because it will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shall it
I
be?
won't. I'm not saying I'll have it. It can happen that I'll have it, but the first steps into doing that will be in 5 years, and I'm looking forward to that.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so very much, guys, for staying with us this long. And thank you for subscribing, and for your likes, and for your love. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I hope it boosted you as much as it did. We do pray. Our God is big. The God
Our
of Tyler
God
Perry.
is a mighty God.
Mighty God.
He's a mighty God.
Yeah, yeah.
And pray and be careful what you ask him. Be very careful what you ask him, and be very specific in your prayers. Be very specific. When you tell God what I always say now, a minute,
Don't worry,
God doesn't have so much time. That's what I say to myself. Like, you start saying, God bless me. Bless you with what? So wait
Where
there.
would you don't
just
know what you
figure out
want?
what you want. When you're done, call me. So I tell him, God, I want to have this African wellness village in 5 years. God, I'm asking now to be on German television. That is a specific prayer that I've done since I started cooking here in Germany. I want to be on German television. Look what happened. Be specific, very specific in your prayers. Very specific.
Wow.
Don't be ambiguous. Don't tell God,
If you
bless me.
see fit,
Yeah. Tell him the specific amount of money you want. That
Wow.
too.
that is scary.
It is.
It is scary to
Yeah.
actually ask for
And-
what you really
and
want.
big.
Yeah.
There was a time I was listening to Steve Harvey saying, do you know the God you pray to? What he's capable of? That you're telling him to give you rent?
I
Ask for a
know.
house. Ask for big things. And if he decides to give you the half of that, it's okay. But ask for big things. Don't be afraid. They'll come.
Wow.
Yeah.
They will.
And today we are not. You're not getting something to eat, one boy. I was away.
What?
No.
What?
Sorry.
What?
Sorry.
What? That's why I'm
We just-
finishing this
yeah,
conversation.
We
Wait.
just said, and I told you guys, I was out shooting a television show. I did not prepare anything for you. I'm so sorry. This is the
How
first
about the
and
food
last.
you cooked
This
there?
is the first. I left it there. Everybody
What?
wanted to have it. Everybody wanted to have it. The first and last time this is happening. I promise. I promise. I promise.
I am very
promise.
disappointed.
I know. I promise.
Okay. Okay, good.
I'm sorry.
You are forgiven because of the things you've done in the past.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everything, for trusting us with your time. Yes, with your time. Because we are doing ours here. Oh, it's already. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Love one. Subscribe. Comment. Share. We love you.
We love you. Bye-bye. Have a good week.
Bye.